Good evening. I'd like to welcome all of you to this town meeting preview. It is being held on Thursday, October 12th at 7 p.m. We are in the Mayflower Room of Plymouth Town Hall. This is preparation for the fall annual town meeting that is scheduled for next Saturday, October 21st at 8 a.m. at Plymouth North High School. I'm pleased that I'm joined this evening by a distinguished panel that includes Kenneth Tavares, Chair of the Board of Selectmen, Melissa Arrighi, our Town Manager, Lynn Barrett, Director of Finance, Marlene McCollum, welcome, our new Assistant Town Manager, Gary Costin from the School Department, and to my left we have the Advisory and Finance Committee represented by its Chair, Harry Salerno, the Second Vice Chair, Patrick O'Brien, and the First Vice Chair, Kevin Canty. The purpose of tonight's forum is to provide a preview, an overview of the articles that are coming before you at the town meeting. We will go over the motions and we will talk a little bit about where you can get further information and materials as you prepare for town meeting. And at this time, I'd like to begin by saying we would be having opening ceremonies at 8 a.m. and thereafter we'll hear briefly from the Chair of the Board of Selectmen, the Chair of the Advisory and Finance Committee. If we have any housekeeping matters, we'll take them up first. We will be moving to have adjourned sessions on the following Monday and Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. at Plymouth North High School. We have a procedural motion from Mr. Tavares to change the order of the articles and have Article 39 before Article 31. And so for those of you that are here with us this evening, if you've received a handout, we've actually prepared the handout in anticipation of a successful vote on that motion to change the order, and we'll take up Article 39 before Article 31. We're going to begin with the articles as listed. I'm not going to read the entire language that is in the warrant, but we're going to go to Mr. Salerno. The first one is to approve amendments to the dispatcher's contract. This is going to be a majority vote. Mr. Salerno?
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 1. This cost of this article will accept a successor contract for the dispatchers union for fiscal years 2017 and 18. The total cost of the contract is approximately $37,000, and this contract is in line with existing contracts of other bargaining groups in town.
And the town manager is available to answer questions. As we continue under motion number 2 under Article 1, we still have other meetings scheduled before town meeting that may affect town meeting business. So you are encouraged to follow the selectmen meeting that is scheduled for next Tuesday, the Advisory and Finance Committee meeting that is scheduled next Wednesday.
Correct.
And further, all of the major elected boards in the town have posted notices for meeting on the morning of town meeting. So you may anticipate that the Board of Selectmen, the Advisory and Finance Committee, the School Committee, or the Planning Board may be meeting at 7:30 at Plymouth North High School and take up business right before town meeting. Motion number 2, for example, we do not yet know who will be the maker of the motion, but it is going to be a motion to approve amendments to the Library Collective Bargaining Relief Association contract. It's a majority vote. Mr. Salerno.
The committee has not yet voted on it, but we presumably will be recommending approval of that article. We will be hearing that on Wednesday.
And the town manager is available to answer questions. Under Article 2A, we have a number of motions, and despite what is printed in the packet of materials this evening, I can advise you that the plan is to take up the various items that are in accordance with the attached spreadsheet, except that item that relates to number 35, and that we will take up separately. So the motion to amend the votes taken out of Article 7A in accordance with the spreadsheet will list everything you see except for item 35, which will be taken up separately. And that's really for procedural reasons. We did receive a motion to amend, but we thought it would be clearer for town meeting members if we just took up all the other items, and then 35 separately, since we have one town meeting member who wishes to oppose item 35, and we thought to divide the question would be easier to understand. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends approval of the line items 2A2, 2A3, 2A4, excuse me, 2A5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Each of the reasons for the specific line item adjustment is included within your booklet.
And we might receive a presentation in connection with this particular motion and article. We do have a second motion under this article, Article 2B, and for that, Mr. Salerno is also moving that we amend the votes taken under Article 7B, 7C, 7D, and 7E of the April 2017 town meetings. This is going to be a majority vote, and like the previous one, it will be a roll call vote if it is not unanimous. And so, Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee will recommend approval of Article 2B to amend Articles 7B, C, D, and E of the 2017 town meeting warrant. All of these items revolve around, essentially all of these items revolve around a decrease in the expense of borrowing the funds, which turned out in actual performance to be lower than anticipated.
Lynn Barrett, Director of Finance, available to answer questions on these articles. People who wish to be heard, if you contact me in advance, I would place you on a speakers list. I already have at least one town meeting member who wishes to be heard under this article. Speakers will be given 5 minutes, except for petitioner presentations. We'll have up to 15 minutes. Article 3, we have no motion, no action. We move to Article 4A, and you'll see here that we have a motion from Mr. Salerno to appropriate the sum of $16,900,000. We also have some motions to amend, and we'll put them all before town meeting. We will discuss the main motion with the motions to amend, and then we'll take up each motion to amend first before voting on the main motion. So the main motion is a 2/3 vote, and it's a roll call if it's not unanimous. However, motions to amend are a majority vote, and so the quantum of vote is different, and whether roll call is required or not. Now, at any time, town meeting members could request a roll call vote on any of these articles. We will continue with electronic voting at this town meeting. And so, Mr. Salerno, on Article 4A.
Article 4A, the Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve this appropriation. This is the final link in the chain of the waterfront improvements. It is a critical link, and it completes the waterfront, this particular section of the waterfront improvement area. It not only improves it from a decorative point of view, but it does substantial improvements to improve stormwater drainage and storm water defense. It is a significant amount of money, but the committee felt that it was necessary and an important expenditure for our town.
Then we have two motions to amend. We're taking Mr. Circo's motion first, since he wishes to require that 50% of the cost be obtained through fundraising. If that fails, we expect that the Board of Selectmen will move that 20% of the amount appropriated be allocated or receive gifts or grants. So again, these will all be discussed at town meeting, and we have available to answer questions Jonathan Beater, Director, Department of Public Works. Moving on, Article 4B, and I would just say for those of you who are with us at the live cablecast on Thursday, October 12th, if you wish to speak on any of these, to ask questions, to get more information, please raise your hand to be recognized, and then come to the podium, turn on the mic so that we can all hear you. Article 4B, we have again a motion from Mr. Salerno on behalf of the Advisory and Finance Committee. It will be a majority vote and a roll call. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve this appropriation. This will fund the engineering and design work of the town wharf bulkhead. The cement parking area contains about 15 to 20 parking spots between Woods and Lobster Hut, and the pilings beneath them are beginning to deteriorate.
And just to clarify, this is 4B through 4E. Lynn Barrett available to answer questions. Article 4F is a two-thirds vote and a roll call. If it is not unanimous, David Gould will be available to answer questions. Mr. Salerno?
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve this appropriation. The Federal Aviation Administration has scheduled construction of the Airport Delta Taxiway to go out to bid in January. The total cost of this project is $1,900,000. However, the airport enterprise share is only $95,000. The balance will be picked up between federal and state money.
Thank you. Moving on to 4G, it's withdrawn. Article 5, we have no motion, and unless there's any motion, there'll be no action. It is still possible prior to a town meeting for people to make motions on warrant articles. Only certain boards, committees, or individuals have the ability to make motions under our town charter. For materials for preparation of town meeting, we have copies of the town charter. They can be found on the website, the town bylaws, and for this town meeting, we've already received the report and recommendations of the Advisory and Finance Committee. It has a great cover for the fall town meeting. We expect there'll be a supplemental report and recommendation of the Advisory and Finance Committee. There'll also be a motions packet when town meeting members check in that morning for your electronic voting tickers. And finally, town meeting time, a handbook of parliamentary procedure, is available at the library. Article 6 is a majority vote, a roll call. If it is not unanimous, Lynn Barrett available to answer questions. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 6. Approval of this article will appropriate some $598,000 from insurance proceeds and $21,000 from sewer available funds to reimburse Viola for expenses incurred in replacing failed emergency generator.
Thank you. Moving on to Article 7. Mr. Salerno.
I'm sorry. The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 7. The approval of this article will establish a shellfish upweller revolving fund with revenue to come from rental of shellfish upweller space.
You'll notice a number of these refer to documents contained in this report and recommendations of the Advisory and Finance Committee. This is also majority vote and a roll call if it's not unanimous. We move to Article 8. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 8. Approval of this article transfers some $548,000 from free cash into the Pavement Management Debt Stabilization Fund. This amount reflects the excess of fiscal year 2017 motor vehicle excise taxes over the amount that was budgeted.
Lynn Barrett available to answer questions. Majority vote, a roll call if it is not unanimous. We now move on to Article 9A, and again, a roll call and a majority vote. If it's not unanimous, it'll be a roll call. Lynn Barrett available to answer questions. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 9A. The committee points out that the article language refers to fiscal year 19 when in fact it should refer to fiscal year 18. This amount reduces the anticipated debt service by $35,466.
Any questions or discussion on any of these? Just let us know. Article 10, we have no motion, no action. Articles 11, 12, and 13 are withdrawn. Article 14, you'll see we have a main motion, at least as of this evening, a motion to amend. We'll begin with Mr. Salerno's motion on the main motion, which is a two-thirds vote. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 14. Approval of this article, as it states, will transfer 2 parcels from the care and custody of the town to the Conservation Commission. The committee will be meeting on Wednesday, and one agenda item in that is to remove the Priscilla Beach Road property from that.
And if the Finance Committee does not vote to do that, Then we have a motion to amend from the Board of Selectmen, and it's a majority vote. Betsy Hall is the chair of the Open Space Committee. She'll be available to answer questions. Further discussion? Article 15 is withdrawn. We then move to Article 16. This is a two-thirds vote. Jonathan Beater, available to answer questions. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 16. Approval of this article will allow the town to finalize the easement process required for the Oberry Street project. The project is being funded and overseen by the Massachusetts Department of Transportation and has already gone through the hearing and approval processes.
Any discussion with Article 16? Again, as we prepare for town meeting, you have here not only the Advisory and Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen represented, we have actually Chair of the Planning Board sitting and joining us here. And of course, we have representation from the school department. So please take advantage of any of these opportunities to gather more information if needed. Article 17 is withdrawn. Article 18 is a two-thirds vote. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 18. Approval of this article will authorize the town to exchange a town-owned parcel for a privately owned parcel. The purpose of this is that the acquired property will be more suitable for the stormwater drainage project.
Jonathan Beater, again, available to answer questions. Article 19 is withdrawn. We then move to Article 20. And again, we have a motion to amend that may come before us if Finance Committee does not change its motion. The main motion is a majority, but it's a roll call because if we do not have a unanimous vote on a bylaw change, we need to have a roll call vote. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 20. Approval of this article will amend the general bylaws to codify our town-wide practice adopted by the Board of Selectmen several years ago to prohibit charcoal grilling at our beaches and parks.
If the Finance Committee does not change and adopt the motion to amend prepared by the Board of Selectmen, we have a motion to amend by striking hibachis and similar devices. This is a time when I'd like to remind people, if you wish to make motions to amend main motions or additional motions to articles, please contact me prior to town meeting with your proposed text. I'm pleased to say that several town meeting members have done that. Earlier, you heard that Mr. Sirico has a motion to amend, and that is a result of contacting me and then reviewing it with town council in order to make sure the language is correct. I just got an email from him before this meeting telling me that he was satisfied with changes that we made. So it was a process by which he contacted me, he wrote down what he thought he wanted to propose, we changed it based on what we thought was an appropriate way to bring it forward procedurally. He's happy, we're happy, and it's going to come before town meeting. Regardless of how town meeting votes, at least it's done procedurally correct. This is a bylaw article. If you decide to get up at town meeting floor and amend the motion on the bylaw, I may not accept that because we're not going to be rewriting legislation on town meeting floor. It might be one thing to change a word or two, but we're not going to be entertaining large changes of language without having some thought go into it. On some of these motions, we're going to have people not present in the room who may have an opinion. For example, on one of the earlier motions, we had to check with bond counsel in order to make sure that bond counsel was on board with the proposed motion from the town meeting member, in addition to having our own town council agree as to what a change might be. So again, you're all encouraged, for those of you that are watching as well as those of you that are here this evening, to contact me in advance if there's something you wish to accomplish procedurally. This particular motion to amend is only majority vote, whereas the main motion, again, is a roll call, because at that point, we have to have a unanimous on the bylaw change or have the roll call. Article 21 is also a majority vote and then a roll call. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 21. Approval of this article will amend the general bylaws to not include owners or operators of other conveyors of passengers, specifically pedicab drivers, in the list of those requiring state and federal fingerprint-based criminal history checks to obtain an occupational license in town.
Town manager is available to answer questions on this and on the previous article. Any questions? Moving on to Article 22, a majority and a roll call, Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 22. Approval of this article will amend the departmental revolving fund section of the general bylaws, specifically column C relating to the state boat ramp revolving fund and the description of the fees deposited into that fund.
So it's a majority and a roll call. I want to remind town meeting members that while I will limit the scope of the debate, you will limit the length of the debate. It would be a motion to close debate, move the previous question. It is not debatable. We'll ask people to stand. If they still wish to be heard, it'll be a 2/3 vote. You can make that procedural motion anytime. I will give preference and priority to people who wish to make procedural motions, and that'll be over those who wish to get up and speak substantively on a motion. It's also possible to reconsider a motion if you are on the prevailing side. So if a vote goes a certain way and then you either change your mind or you're asked to lend your name to someone who wishes to have it heard, again, you can move to reconsider, and that's a majority vote. So as we move on, that might be relevant to some of the articles coming before us. 23 is withdrawn. Mr. Salerno on Article 24.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 24. Approval of this article will adopt two fairly new Massachusetts regulations regarding the tethering of dogs as well as animals in motor vehicles by adding them to the Plymouth general bylaws so that animal control may enforce them. This action will help prevent neglect and cruelty to animals and prevent unnecessary suffering and/or death to animals in Plymouth.
It's a majority and a roll call. We now move to Article 25. On that previous article, David Gould is available. On Article 25, Town Clerk Lawrence Pizer is available. And we have a motion from the Board of Selectmen to amend the general bylaws by deleting the title and text of an article. It's a majority and a roll call. And Melissa Arrighi, are you going to be speaking to this?
I am.
Thank
I
you.
plan on doing a presentation. I'm still working on staff on what we're going to present for town meeting.
And what's the background on why the Board of Selectmen are moving to vote to amend the general bylaw?
It's just an opportunity through the AG's office so that we can renumber as we need to.
And Mr. Salerno, do you have any comments on behalf of the Advisory and Finance Committee?
Well, the Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 25.
Okay. So I have in the packet of materials that Mr. Tavares is moving this. So this is actually, you're moving it. Is that right?
I believe we'll be moving it.
Okay. All right, so we'll
I don't
know.
believe you had an issue with this
No, we had
article.
none, so I don't know.
So the packet that you'll be getting at town meeting will indicate that Mr. Salerno is actually moving this particular article. Thank you. Moving on to Article 26. So 2/3 vote, Mr. Salerno.
Article 26, the Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 26. Approval of this article will transfer the care and custody of the parcel containing Plymouth South High School and Plymouth South Middle School to the school committee and Board of Selectmen for the purpose of leasing parking and related property and granting easements required for the parking solar arrays.
We'll be having a presentation from the school department from Dr. Maestas, Gary Costin here this evening. Gary, anything you'd like to add on this article?
These three articles, this being the first, is all part of our solar project at South High School, New South High School. So
Your light
Turn
is
your
on.
mic on? Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. This article is all part of our three articles, our solar project at New South High School, and we'll be doing a presentation prior to Article 26, which will encompass all three articles.
Thank you. Any further questions or discussion on Article 26? 2/3 vote. Move on to Article 27 is a majority vote. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 27. As previously stated, it's part of the project that includes Articles 26, 27, and 29.
Dr. Maestas is available to answer questions on any of these articles. 28 is withdrawn. 29 is a two-thirds vote and a roll call. You'll notice the quantum of vote varies on these articles. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 29. Again, this article is part of the bundle that includes 26, 27, and 29, and involves a rather extensive solar project at the school.
The parties here at the table met yesterday with Town Council at a motions meeting in order to review the motions and make sure they're in proper form. At this town meeting, we'll be joined by Lauren Goldberg of Coltman and Page, and she'll be serving as town council throughout town meeting. Any further questions on Article 29? If not, we'll move to Article 30, and this is a two-thirds vote and then a roll call if it is not unanimous. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 30. Approval of this article will delete the entire section of the town's bylaws regarding the Design Review Board. The board has not met since June of 2014, and the level of design and knowledge by the planning board has increased dramatically since that time.
And Lee Hartman, Director of Planning and Development, would be available to answer questions on this matter. Any further questions? If not, you'll notice in the packet that we go from Article 30 to Article 39. This is with the assumption that Mr. Tavares' motion procedurally to change the order of the articles passes at the start of town meeting. Article 39, we have a motion to amend the zoning bylaw. These types of motions require a two-thirds vote, a roll call if it's not unanimous. You'll notice here that in the package, we say as provided on pages of the supplement. So you'll be getting additional materials at town meeting. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 39. The majority of the committee felt these retail establishments should be more accessible throughout town and felt comfortable with allowing them by right in certain limited areas throughout town.
And you'll notice some of these packets change daily. So although I received yesterday a proposed motion, which was time-stamped at 10:10, 9:45 a.m., on yesterday, the 11th, I got a new motion at 3:30 in the afternoon. So these motions, these articles are in flux right up until the time I read the motion into the record at town meeting. As I said earlier, even as current as the morning at town meeting, a board such as the Advisory Finance Committee has the authority to change the motion coming before you. So we're happy to have as much information as possible in advance. We encourage you to follow all of the changes, if any, that come from the various boards. Next, after Article 39, you'll see that we proceed with Article 31 if Article 39 fails. Article 31, we have a motion from Mr. Tavares, and it's a vote to amend the zoning bylaw by adopting a new bylaw, and it's entitled differently. It's two-thirds and a roll call. Melissa Arrighi, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen.
We wanted to make sure that at the end of this meeting, there is some type of zoning bylaw on the books for the town of Plymouth in terms of the recreational marijuana shops. In order to do that, we know that the motion on the floor is from the Finance Committee for Article 39, but in the event that doesn't receive the two-thirds vote, we needed to move this article out of order so that then if this article passes, we do have something on the books. That's why you'll see it here, and this is just a more conservative approach to where these recreational marijuana shops will be allowed in the town of Plymouth.
For Article 39, we'll be hearing a presentation from the petitioner, Stephen Stryer. For Article 31, the town manager is available, and also Lee Hartman is available. And prior to town meeting, in some of the cases where we have differing votes currently from the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen, Finance Committee will be taking up some of these articles next Wednesday to see if there's some type of consensus between the two boards. But regardless, this is what you have this evening before you on Article 31. Article 32.
I have a question on 31, Mr. Moderator.
Please come forward. Stephen
Thank you.
Palmer,
Thank you, my
Precinct 5, Town Meeting Member. Welcome this evening as we're discussing the articles contained in the annual town meeting warrant next Saturday. Mr. Palmer,
I'm not a town meeting member anymore, Steve.
thank you.
Do you know that?
You're a resident. You're welcome.
Please turn your mic on.
Is your light on, Mr. Palmer?
I don't know how to work this thing.
Could someone help
Can you
him?
hear me anyways?
The cable audience also wants to hear you. Thank you, Mr. Palmer.
Hot dog. When is the marijuana shops gonna open? I mean, I see we have laws and bylaws and zoning laws, and when is the date that we're gonna open?
So you're asking a good question. However, I want to remind you and the people here and the people watching that at this town meeting, we're putting forth proposals for a zoning bylaw and a general bylaw, and that's different from some of the other
We all, not to
concerns.
interrupt you, but we all voted for it. I mean, I don't smoke marijuana myself, but, you know, everyone voted for it. And I just want to know, when are we going to open our first store?
So if someone here can answer that, certainly.
That's my question.
We'll take that, but I'm going to remind you and other people here again, we're not going to be getting into discussions at town meeting that are really unrelated to the issues before us, which
Well, all
are
the
dealing
stuff that
with.
the
Mr.
zoning
No, please
laws
don't
and
interrupt.
the-
Mr.
and
Palmer.
this and that is,
Mr.
you know,
Palmer,
just open up the stores.
Mr. Palmer, please. I didn't interrupt you. Please don't interrupt me. Did anyone care to respond to
and
Mr.
on,
Palmer's
you know?
question?
When are the stores
Rick-
going to open? That's my question.
Please, Mr. Palmer. Thank you.
Stores could open as early as July 1 of 2018.
Are we going to do that? Is this all progressing to that date?
Again, Mr. Palmer, town meeting is going to be voting on a zoning bylaw, a general bylaw. There are any number of other things that can occur between now and that date, but for purposes of the town meeting, that's the focus of our discussion.
It just seems that you're just pushing it further and further away from the opening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Palmer. Further discussion on Article 31. Okay, Article 32. Mr. Salerno, it's a majority and a roll call.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 32. Approval of this article will amend the general bylaws relating to the retail sale of marijuana. The committee felt comfortable with the vetting process of the planning board. It seemed that limiting the number of retail marijuana stores to 20% of the number of liquor licenses was a reasonable first step, as the state recommends. Without a set of bylaws and zoning restrictions, marijuana stores may be placed anywhere retail is allowed without any unique restrictions. Such stores would only be subject to state regulation.
It's a majority vote, a roll call. Again, Lee Hartman, Director of Planning Development, will be available. And if there are technical questions regarding the state law, Town Council Lauren Goldberg will be available. Any further questions, Article 32, or comments? If not, we would then in town meeting be moving to Articles 33, 34, 35, which are withdrawn. We then go to Article 36. This is a petitioner article, and we have a two-thirds vote and a roll call if it's not unanimous. Mr. Salerno.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends approval of Article 36. Approval of this article will rezone the Symes House property from small lot residential to transitional commercial. The town, using community preservation funds, recently invested $4 million to renovate this property, creating 2 affordable housing units, 4 offices, and 4 meeting rooms. The property will be used as a community center as well. The county has contracted with Manomet Village Common, Inc. to manage the property. This organization is requesting this change in zoning to clarify that office use and the ability to host functions is permitted.
We will be having a petitioner presentation from John Moody, who is here this evening and available to answer questions. He's the president of the Manomet Village Common, Inc. Also, Lee Hartman, Director of Planning and Development, will be available to answer any questions. Any comments? Yes, Mr. Palmer, please come forward. We're reviewing and previewing the articles coming before Plymouth Annual Town Meeting, and this is Article 36. Mr. Palmer?
My question is, now this was gonna go through the planning board, correct? This went through the planning board?
Anyone care to respond as to whether or not the planning board heard this particular article?
Why doesn't it just go to the planning board and that they approve it and then it doesn't have to go to the town meeting? That's my question.
Mr. Palmer, the town meeting is your legislature in the town of Plymouth, and therefore, while any board could recommend bylaw changes or new bylaws, it would be within the power of the legislature town meeting to finally approve recommendations from the planning board or other boards.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Okay, if not, we'll continue. Article 37. Article 37, the main motion is two-thirds and a roll call, and we also have a motion to amend. Mr. Salerno on the main motion.
The Advisory and Finance Committee recommends town meeting approve Article 37. Approving this article will amend the zoning bylaw and create a building height overlay district. The committee is recommending a 60-foot height maximum in the overlay district, which is 5 stories.
We currently have a motion from the Board of Selectmen to amend by changing 60 feet to 75 feet. Again, the Board of Selectmen are meeting next Tuesday, Finance Committee next Wednesday. You may see some changes to these motions prior to town meeting. This is a petitioner presentation from Michael Hanlon. He was available yesterday at our motion session. Any further questions or comments on this article? We have no motion, no action on Articles 38 and 40. Unless we have any other motions coming before town meeting, this is the point where we would move to dissolve, and if we do dissolve, it's not possible then to bring up any further motion or action on any of the articles. Now that we've gone through an initial read of the articles coming before us, are there any other comments or questions related to any of the articles contained in the warrant? Yes, please come forward. This is a town meeting preview. It's coming to you live on Thursday, October 12th. We are in the Mayflower Room at Town Hall. Good evening and welcome.
Yeah, hi. George McKay, Precinct 8.
Thank you, George.
I just had a question on Article 21.
Thank you.
And as you probably know, Uber and Lyft are getting into this area, driving people around. And I was wondering if they were covered or not covered under Article 21.
Melissa Arrighi, Town Manager.
Uber, and you said Lyft?
Lyft is
Lyft,
essentially the same
are
thing.
not covered under our bylaws. They have a separate process that they follow. They don't have to be licensed or verified or checked through the town managers or the police department. I will confirm that, but they're absolutely not included in this.
Well, shouldn't we be concerned about who these people are in terms of criminal backgrounds and things like that?
Melissa Arrighi.
I would answer that we should have concerns about that statewide, where, and further than that, where these are operating, it's just not part of that process.
Well, I consider these people operators of other conveyors of passengers. And so right now, the way I read this bylaw is that we have the opportunity to take the fingerprints and check on the criminal background of these people that are driving our residents around. Where if we strike this, that eliminates that.
This, yes,
Kenneth Tavares, Chair of the Board of Selectmen.
thank you, Mr. Moderator. This bylaw was proposed by the Chief of Police. It's your question we can address to him, but I believe that it comes under the jurisdiction of the Commonwealth. But we'll make sure, George, before town meeting, that we have an answer for you.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else care to comment? Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. McKay. Anyone else? A question on any of the articles? If not, I'd like to thank all of you who attended. I'd like to thank our panel, Kenneth Tavares, Chair of the Board of Selectmen, and our Town Manager, Melissa Arrighi. I'd also like to thank Lynn Barrett, the Director of Finance, also Marlene McCollum, our new Assistant Town Manager, Gary Costin from the School Department, our members of the Advisory and Finance Committee, Kevin Canty, first vice chair, Patrick O'Brien, second vice chair, and our chair, Harry Salerno. This completes the preview, and we look forward to seeing all of you a week from Saturday on the 21st at 8 a.m. at Plymouth Town Hall. Thank you. Plymouth North High School, thank you.